Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're just going to give a little bit of time for most of you are still joining. Today we're going to be talking about SAT and AP Essentials. My name is Mariana Hernandez, and I'm the Education USA advisor at Education USA Guatemala. And with me is Claudia Valencia. She is the College Board Associate Director. And we're going to start very briefly with the agenda. So we're going to go with our welcome, and then what is Education USA Guatemala, and then the SAT and AP Essentials. And towards the end, we'll have a space for you to make some questions. With the questions, you can send them to me, and I'll be making sure to share them with Claudia at the end. Okay, so Education USA is a program from the U.S. Department of State Network. We have 430 advising centers around the world, and we provide accurate information about U.S. studies. And our main objective is to guide you during your application process and also give you general the information about general requirements and help you out with researching your options to study in the U.S. You can find us at the Walt Whitman American Center. This is based at Instituto Guatemalteco Americano IGA, the only binational center here in Guatemala. And some of our services are information about undergraduate, graduate studies, summer programs, intensive language programs, and other topics. We also give informative sessions and one-on-one advising and information about scholarships, financing, and also educational fairs. And very briefly, about the 5 steps to study. We also designed 5 steps in like to the US. The first one is research your options. Then you also have to finance your studies. That's step number 2. And step number 3 is completing your application, and we're going to be looking at one of the topics related to completing your applications today. Step number 4 and 5 come after you are accepted to a U.S. university, and it's where you apply for the student visa and then prepare for your. We're gonna have 2 webinars that I wanted to share with you. The first one is on May 20. It's about how your athletic skills can open doors to an American university. We're gonna have Naya. They are gonna be sharing about sports scholarships, and it's a very good chance that if you like sports or want to study sports, then you can join this webinar. And then the second one is May 14. This is about intensive English courses in Mississippi, the University of Mississippi. So make sure to scan the codes if you would like to join these webinars. And thank you. Here is our information. Make sure to reach out to us in case you have any questions. And now I'm going to give the floor to Claudia.
Thank you so much, Mariana. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm going to talk about SAT and AP Essentials. So talk a little bit about the SAT exam, how you can prepare for it, how you can register for it. And then I'm going to talk basics, essentially 101 or AP 101. What is AP? What are AP courses? And then why they're beneficial for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Give me a quick minute. And then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, Mariana, let me know if anything looks off on your end, but I think everything looks good to go on my end. So I'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Claudia Valencia. I'm an associate director on the international team at the College Board. I lead our work in Latin America, the Caribbean, and US territories. That means that I support schools, students, ministries of education, nonprofit organizations, and other organizations in countries within these regions that utilize College Board programs. That's why I'm here today, because I work and have developed a partnership with Education USA throughout Latin America. I was in Guatemala last year. I had a session in person at the Education USA Center. And whenever, there is a need for me to connect with folks about anything College Board related, these are the types of webinars that we put together. So I just want to thank Mariana and Education USA for inviting me to present for you today. I already talked to you a little bit about what I'm going to cover, but just to give you a better idea, we're going to talk about why the SAT is still important. We'll go into the SAT specific test specifications and features, so what you can expect to see on the SAT if you plan to take it. What are some technology requirements of the SAT? So the SAT is now fully digital, so what you will need to take the SAT, how you can register for the SAT, and then practice for the SAT. That's always a question that I get, is what's the best way to practice? I'll talk about some SAT resources, and then we'll go ahead and jump into AP. What is AP? What are AP courses? Why take AP courses? And then I'll talk a little bit about some resources that could be helpful for you on the topic of AP. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. And I also speak Spanish, so if anybody has any questions, I'll have some time at the end for questions. So please feel free to save your questions, and whether you want to ask them in English and Spanish, I'm happy to take them at the end. So let's talk about, and let's start with, why is the SAT still important? And I think this question really came up during the pandemic as US universities were changing their requirements on whether to accept or require score reports from standardized tests like the SAT. That's really when this conversation was prominent, and when students and families were questioning whether the students should take the SAT. And I think this conversation continues to this day, because many universities around the United States have varying requirements in terms of score reports from standardized tests like the SAT or ACT. And really, you might be asking yourself the question, well, do I have to take the SAT? Do I not? Is it important? Is it not? On your screen, you can see that I highlighted one of the main points that I like to point to on why the SAT is relevant for students outside the United States. So there are many schools around the world that have students that have an interest in studying not only in the US, but around the world. So students that want to go to Canada, students that want to go to universities in Europe, for example. And really, these students come from all backgrounds and all types of schools, meaning that at these schools, there are wide variations of curricular standards. The grading systems at your schools might vary, so it might be a different grading system. Even the course offerings that your school has might be different than another school in your same city, within your country, etc. That makes it difficult for admissions officers at universities, especially if they're not accustomed to seeing students from your school. It makes it difficult for them to understand what your grading system is like. How rigorous are the courses that your school is offering, and how do you compare with other students? When we take that into consideration, we think about, we start to ask ourselves and think, well, that is why the SAT is critical and why it is important, because it contextualizes the achievement of the international student for admissions officers. So you are taking the same SAT. Obviously, it's different now, you're seeing different questions. It is an adaptive test, so it adapts to the way that you respond in the first module and the second module. But essentially, universities and admissions officers can compare your performance on the SAT with any other student and see your performance compared to those students and make a decision for university admissions based off of that. For that reason, the SAT is even more critical for international students. So I want you to keep that in mind as you make your decision on whether you want to take the SAT, as you are questioning whether the SAT is important for you to take. That's definitely something to keep in mind. I want to talk a little bit about the role of assessments within a holistic admissions framework. And really, this idea of holistic admissions framework is very US focused. Universities in the United States, if that's something that you're looking at, is going to the United States or coming to the US to study for higher education, a lot of admissions departments and admissions officers will look at your application for admission in a holistic way. That means that they're looking at a variety of things. So they'll look at things like academic accomplishment, curricular rigor, environmental context, and personal qualities. So these are a couple of things that they will look at. Actually, the main things that they will look at. It won't just be your academic accomplishments. So they won't just look at your grades. They won't just look at your standardized test scores, but they will look at that along with things like AP, advanced placement coursework. They'll also take into consideration your family environment, your school profile. They'll also many times ask you for a personal statement or a letter of recommendation. So they are taking many things into consideration, not just your grades or your standardized test score. I put this on here because it's important to give you an idea of where standardized tests like the SAT fall into this holistic admissions framework. So it's really just one component of the holistic admissions framework, but a very important component. And many universities, even though they changed their policies during the pandemic on whether students were required or not to submit standardized test scores, several universities have gone back to require that students take the SAT, for example, submit their test scores specifically for certain majors. So this is just to give you an idea of how those holistic admissions frameworks work. One of the really cool things about the SAT is that it is seen as a global credential worldwide. What does that mean? That it's not only used to come study higher education in the United States, it is also accepted in 450 plus universities in nearly 70 other countries or regions for admissions. And you can see on that map, wherever you see the blue, there's a country there that accepts the SAT, or a university in that country that accepts the SAT for admissions. So whether you're thinking about coming to the US for higher education or not, whether you're thinking about going to Canada or Europe or Australia, places in Brazil, in Mexico, many universities in these countries accept the SAT for admissions. So keep that in mind as you are considering where you want to pursue your higher ed. Now let's take a look at test specifications and features. So what can you expect on the digital SAT? So the digital SAT is comprised of two parts. The first part is the reading and writing section, and the second part is the math section. They are divided by a 10-minute break. The digital SAT runs for about 2 hours, which is, I think, a great amount of time for you to be testing. It's not overwhelming. But there is a lot of preparation that has to go into it for you to feel confident going into the exam. Right now, I'm going to give you an idea of what you can expect to see in each section. So the reading and writing section is the first section. It includes a total of 54 questions, and it is about 64 minutes. You get 1 minute and 19 seconds per question if you want to think about it in the sense of how much time you get per question. And then you will see discrete questions. Discrete questions means that you will read a passage or a passage pair, and you will only have to answer one question associated with that passage. You will not have to answer multiple questions associated with the passage or the passage pair. So that's the reading and writing section. Then we jump to the math section. Again, as I mentioned, you will have a 10-minute break between the two sections, and then you will start the math section. That section includes 44 total questions. You can use a calculator throughout the entire portion of the math section. There's also a built-in calculator in the Blue Book application, which I'll talk a little bit more about within the next few slides. But there's a built-in calculator, so if for some reason you don't have a calculator, you can use the one within the Blue Book application. You get 70 total minutes to take the math portion, gives you about 1 minute, 59 seconds per question. And that includes a combination of discrete questions, 4 option multiple choice questions, and then a few student-produced response questions. And then that's it. That's the entirety of the SAT. Let's talk a little bit about technology requirements. So I've said throughout this presentation that the SAT is digital, which means that you will take it either on a personal device, on a device that you've borrowed from a family member or a friend, or a school managed Chromebook, if that's something that your school does. I'll also talk about our device lending program so that you have an idea of what that is. But really, you will take the SAT on the Blue Book application. This is an application that you can download on your personal device. You will need a College Board student account to enter the Blue Book application to take the test, to practice to take the test, but this is where you will take the digital SAT. There is really no option to take it paper or pencil unless there is a requirement for that. If you are a student with a disability and it is documented and it is requested, but every student for the most part will take the SAT digitally via the Blue Book application. So if you haven't done so already, you can just go to your applications, your apps feature on your personal device. And you can download the Blue Book application. It's free. You can also download it on an iPad, for example. If you have an iPad, you can download the Blue Book application on an iPad. Like I said, it's free. You will just need to create a College Board account. So if you have not done so yet, create your College Board account. That way you can enter Blue Book and then use all of its features. There are 6 full-length practice exams within the Blue Book application. So if you are thinking about wanting to prepare for the SAT and what the best way to prepare is, you will want to download Blue Book, create that College Board account, and then within the Blue Book application, you can access those 6 full-length practice exams. And you can take those full-length practice exams as many times as you want. You will get a score report, and then you can focus on those areas where you need the most support. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the presentation. Like I said, the digital SAT will have 2 modules in each section. Module 1, the students are given a broad mix of easy, medium, and hard questions. It will then jump to Module 2, which means that students are given a targeted mix of questions with varying difficulties based on their performance in Module 1. When we talk about the SAT being adaptive, this is what we're talking about. The way that you perform in Module 1 will impact the types of questions that you will get in Module 2, and then you will get your score. Again, you can use a personal laptop, a laptop that you borrow from a friend or a family member, a tablet, or if your school manages Chromebooks or desktops, you can also take the SAT on there. The device should be able to hold a charge for 3 hours. Why? Because you will be going into a classroom, wherever it is that you register for the SAT. Many times there are not enough outlets for everybody to connect their laptop, although we do ask test centers to have extension cords should you need to charge your device. But our recommendation is always for students to come with their device fully charged for it to be able to hold a charge for 3 hours. And then the device must connect to Wi-Fi. Test centers are required to provide Wi-Fi connection for all students taking the SAT. So as you arrive to the test center and you're preparing, the test center and the proctor or the coordinator there will provide you Wi-Fi information. Let's talk a little bit about how to register for the SAT and when we have upcoming SATs. So the next 3 SATs that you can take advantage of and you can still register for are the June 7th SAT, August 23rd SAT, and September 13th. We've already published the deadline for registration changes and regular cancellation for the June 7th SAT. That's May 27, 2025. But we have not published the registration deadline for the August 23rd and the September 13th SATs. So you can just visit our website to get more information about what those deadlines will be. It's essentially just a couple weeks before, excuse me, the SAT is scheduled. So just keeping that in mind is very important. You will register for the SAT directly on the College Board website through your College Board student account, and you will pay directly via that account. You will pay College Board directly. You will not have to pay anything to the test center the day of the exam, so just please keep that in mind. And you can visit mysat.collegeboard.org/dashboard to register for the SAT. The current cost of the SAT is $111. That's what you will pay College Board for the SAT. This includes the SAT fee of $68 plus a $43 regional fee. Now I want to talk a little bit about the SAT device lending program. So say, for example, you are unable to obtain a device from a friend, a family member, but you really want to take the SAT and you have no idea how you're gonna get access to a device. College Board has a free device lending program. It does not matter where in the world you are located. So as you're going through your registration for the exam, it'll ask you some questions, and if you answer no to a couple of questions like no, I'm unable to get a device from a family or friend, I cannot get one from like a teacher or my school, then College Board will work with you to ensure a device is sent to the test center where you will take the exam. It will not be shipped directly to you. It'll be there waiting for you on the day that you are scheduled to take your exam for you to take it there. This is an important thing to keep in mind, is that you complete your registration for the test at least 30 days before the scheduled date of the exam. This gives us at College Board enough time to coordinate with the test center, with the company that we're working with to borrow a device to ensure that it is there on your exam day. Please don't do this like 2 weeks beforehand, because at that point, I cannot guarantee that the device will be there for you on your exam day. But please, if this is something that you are interested in because it is difficult for you to get access to a device, please go ahead and utilize the SAT device lending program because that's something that you can certainly take advantage of, and it will be free. We also have an SAT test center search. So if you want to find out where the closest SAT test center is to you, if your school, for example, does not function as a SAT test center, you can utilize this SAT test center search. The only thing you will have to do is on your screen, or on the screen, you can see it. The first question it asks you is, where are you testing within the United States, including US territories and Puerto Rico, or outside the US? You will click on outside the US, answer the preceding questions. You will identify what country you are located in, and then you will come across a list of test centers in your area, how many seats there are available, and whether you can register for the SAT in that test center. This is also a free tool. Even you can also Google SAT Test Center search College Board, and it'll come up. Now let's take a closer look at practice and what's the best way to practice for the SAT. And there are a couple of options for you, but really it isn't a ton that you have to look for or look at separately to practice for the SAT. I've already talked about Blue Book, which is the application that you can download for free, where you can practice and take, and where you will take the SAT when you are formally registered for it. You will find 6 full-length practice tests in the Blue Book application. Again, you will just need a College Board account to be able to enter Blue Book to access those full-length practice tests. So that's really the best place to start. What I would recommend is starting with Blue Book, Once you feel comfortable taking one of those full-length practice tests, seeing what your score is, and then identifying those areas where you need more support. And then from there, jumping to Khan Academy to practice on those specific areas where you need more support. So through Khan Academy, our official SAT practice partner, you will find things like overview videos, articles, worked examples, a lot of resources to help you practice and hone in on those specific skills that you need to develop further. We have what we call the digital SAT practice ecosystem. So what are the specific components that will help you practice for the SAT? And I've already talked about them a little bit. We have the 6 full-length digital SAT practice exams in Blue Book. We also have 4 full-length linear non-adaptive practice exams that you can download. You can take those practice tests as many times as you want. On the middle part of your screen, you can see that it will show you your SAT practice score reports. It'll give you your total score, then your reading and writing score, and your math score. It will even show you the questions that you took, which answer was correct, which one was not. And then finally, jumping over to Khan Academy to watch videos on specific topics, review articles, you can review worked examples, things like that. So this is the best way for you to practice. On your screen, you can see what the home page will look like when you enter Blue Book. If you have registered for upcoming tests, you will be able to see that at the top. Under Practice and Prepare, you will see sections that say Test Preview, Full-Length Practice, and then SAT Practice if it's something that you've already started, a test you've already started. I recommend starting with this part that says Test Preview. This is a shortened version of the exam. Each section, so the reading and writing section, you will see what the reading and writing section looks like. You will see what the math section looks like. It includes like 7, 8 questions max in each section. It's really just for you to get a feeler for what the SAT will look like without committing to take a full-length practice test. I recommend starting with the test preview. You can give whatever answer you'd like on those questions. It really doesn't matter. The test preview is really just to give you an idea of what the interface will look like, what features are available to you. And then once you're ready and you're feeling a little bit more confident, then I recommend jumping to this part that's highlighted, the full-length practice test, and then getting your score report, identifying those areas that you need to develop further, and then jumping to Khan Academy. So like I said, it'll give you a score report. It'll show you the total questions that you answered, how many you got correct, how many you got incorrect, and then it'll show you what those answers are, the questions and the answers are. And again, preparation on Khan Academy will be key because it will really help you focus on those areas that you need to develop further. From Blue Book, you could jump directly to Khan Academy. So you can see right there a screenshot of a score report, and then there's a button that says Prep on Khan Academy, and it'll jump directly to that section, for example, math. And then one of the things that folks are not still very much familiar with is this Khan Academy mastery-based course. So let me reiterate that everything that I showed you in Blue Book is free. Everything within Khan Academy is free as well. This mastery-based course is awesome because it really allows you to develop those skills that you need to excel on the SAT. One of the cool things about this is that you can work with a tutor, you can work with a teacher to help support your practice, to assign content, and then to view insights on your growth within this mastery-based course. So what does this include? It includes in-depth lesson articles, video worked examples, 3 levels of practice exercises. There will be a course challenge and then quizzes and unit tests. And there are specific skills that you will be working on in each section. So 11 skills in the reading and writing section, 37 skills in the math section, which is awesome. Now let me go through what this will look like. So you can, I mentioned that it is a mastery-based course. which means that you will likely start at the attempted level, and hopefully work your way up to becoming a master. And right there, you can see what that means. So attempted means that students got fewer than 70% of the questions correct on an exercise. Familiar means that you got anywhere between 70 and 99% of the questions correct. Proficient means that you got 100% of the questions correct on an exercise. And then mastered means that the student was already proficient and correctly answered a question on the unit test, course challenge, or mastery challenge. This is another awesome way for you to prepare for the SAT. So there are specific lessons that you can go through on specific topics. For example, this one covers quadratic graphs. You can view worked examples videos. So many times we don't have you, I know you don't have your teacher with you all the time, or your tutor, whoever it may be that's helping support your practice. Someone will walk you through in these videos. So these pre-recorded videos will walk you through how to solve each problem and explain the strategies for solving the problem, which is really awesome. You can use these practice problems to hone in on your skills. They also include hints and explanations, which will help deepen your understanding and really allow you to identify why that's a specific answer. And then one of the cool things about this mastery-based course is that you can monitor your own progress. And the person, if there is someone that's supporting you, like a tutor or a teacher, they can also monitor your progress as well. Finally, Khan Academy has an application which you can download on your smartphone. So if you are on the go, you can also, excuse me, you can practice for the SAT on the go. So feel free to download the Khan Academy application and practice on your phone if that's something that you'd like to do. Another thing, another resource that's available to you all, and really it's for educators, but I wanted to include it on here because it's something that's really neat for anybody to use, is the Educator Question Bank. Sometimes I'll get the question, well, I've gone through the 6 full-length practice tests. I've focused on things in Khan Academy. Is there any other place where I can view questions to practice for the SAT? Yes, you will just want to look at the Educator Question Bank. You will just click on Find Questions, and then you will identify that you're looking for questions for the SAT. You can filter through the area, so whether you want to focus on reading and writing or math. And then you can even click a box that says that it will not include questions that are already included on the full-length practice test. So you just have an additional resource for questions that are available to you for SAT practice. And as you can see here, there's also questions for our PSAT exams. So just an added benefit that you can access. You do not have to be an educator to access this question bank. So if you just Google SAT Educator or College Board Educator Question Bank, you can identify these questions as well. All right, so we have a full page dedicated to SAT practice and preparation. So if you haven't visited that yet, please feel free to check out our SAT practice and preparation page. This is where you will find all up-to-date resources to prepare for the SAT, a great resource itself to preparing for the SAT. We also have international student guides and practice quick start guides. So additional guides that will help you familiarize yourself with the SAT and get additional tips on preparing for the SAT and also downloading the Bluebook application. All right, so that was a little bit about the SAT. I'm now going to jump into AP. And maybe beforehand, I thought we had a few questions in the chat. Oh, no, maybe not. Mariana, do we have any questions so far?
Yes, we have a couple, but I don't know if you want to address them now or.
I can leave them till the end. It might be better for me to leave everything till the end.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, so we'll briefly go through AP and then we'll leave some time for questions in the end. So what is AP, or advanced placement? So AP, or the Advanced Placement Program, is a program that College Board offers where we have 40 university level courses that students take throughout high school that culminate in an end of course assessment or an exam that is recognized by universities in more than 65 countries for admissions. One of the benefits of the AP program is that students are able to get credits if they get specific scores on their AP end of year exams. Some universities may offer scholarships for students that get specific scores on the AP exams. Some universities have specific requirements for students that were part of an AP program for admission. So it is an awesome program, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about some of the impacts of AP and what the courses are that we offer at this point. A couple of standout items of the AP program is that AP students are more likely to finish their degrees promptly and save the cost of a fifth year of college. So say, for example, you are a student that takes a few AP courses throughout your high school career. You apply for admissions to a university. The university offers credits if you get a specific score on AP exam, which is awesome because that means that you are awarded credits. You have saved money in the sense that you do not have to take specific courses because you have taken AP exams and have gotten specific scores on those AP exams. So it is just a benefit of that. It also includes an admission benefit. So 85% of selective colleges and universities report that a student's AP experience favorably impacts admissions decisions. So if you are a student that takes AP courses throughout high school and then you are interested in applying for university admission abroad at a university that offers or has an AP recognition policy, for example, that will help you stand out as a student. So just another added perk of the AP program. Right here, you can see the list of, at this point, we have 40 university level courses, which each culminate again with an end of year exam. These are all the current AP courses. Our newest course, AP African American Studies, is about to launch internationally this upcoming academic year. This past year or 2 years ago, we launched AP Pre-Calculus. Our newest courses that are going to be offered in about 1 year are AP Business Principles, Personal Finance, and AP Cybersecurity. So these are just really awesome courses. Again, these are university level courses, so they are rigorous courses that you are taking in English throughout high school to prepare you for college or university, and hopefully to take the exam to get a specific score to help you for admissions or to gain credit. What is the structure of the AP exam? So I've mentioned a couple of times that the AP exam is taken at the end of the academic year. We offer the AP exam every year, the first 2 weeks of May. So we are right in the middle of AP exams taking place right now. And it does not matter where you are located around the world. There are options for you to take the exam, whether that's at your own school, if your school offers the AP courses and or exams, or you can also find another school in your area or in your country that offers the AP exam. The AP exam structure is typically comprised of multiple choice questions and constructed responses, which will provide that reliable, valid, and practical results, which is what universities are looking for. We score AP exams on a 1 to 5 scale. That means that typically if you score a 3, it will inform universities that you are qualified in that specific area. If you score a 4, you are well qualified, and a 5 means that you are extremely qualified. Most colleges and universities in the US and many in Canada grant credit and placement for scores of 3, 4, or 5. There are many universities outside of US and Canada that have also developed different policies in regard to AP. They also either will utilize AP for admission or for credit and placement. We are further developing our website so that you have more information that is accessible to you on local AP credit policies. But if you ever have any questions about whether the university that you want to apply to offers credit or utilizes AP for admission, you can always reach out to me and I'm always happy to help guide you in that area. There's been a lot of growth in the number of schools that use AP outside of the US. It has grown 85% since 2013, while the number of exams taken has more than doubled. So 103% growth in the number of exams that have been taken, I want to say over the last 10 to 12 years, which is awesome. There's a lot of interest because it is a fairly easy program for schools to adopt, and students really have a lot of flexibility in the type of exams and courses they want to take. One of the things I wanted to include in here is that one of the big things that happened at College Board, which means that it also happened for schools and educators and students throughout the world, is that AP exams, many of them are being offered digitally during the current administration. And it is the first time that they are being administered digitally worldwide through the Blue Book application. The one that I also showed is the Blue Book application that students take for the SAT. So currently there are 16 fully digital exams. That means that students take the AP exam fully in the Blue Book application. You review the question, you answer the questions in Blue Book. We have 12 exams that are hybrid digital exams, which means that students will view the questions in the Blue Book application, but they'll also have a book that, like a notebook that College Board provides them, where they will answer questions and show their work. And then we have other exams that will remain via different applications and or remain paper and pencil for now. But we have made that transition to digital, and I anticipate we will continue making that transition to fully digital exams within the next couple of years. So why take AP? And there's several reasons. It's recognized globally, it's rigorous, so they are tough courses to take. It's effective, it's adaptable, it's empowering, so it really gives the student the power to choose which courses they want to take. It's accessible and it's innovative, and I'll cover a couple of those reasons. So it's recognized globally. Over 4,000 universities in more than 60 countries use AP exam scores for admission, course credits, and or advanced placement. Again, it's not just if you want to come study higher education in the US or Canada or Europe. There are many universities worldwide that report utilizing AP exam score reports for admissions or to grant credit. These are just a couple of sample policies in the US, UK, and Canada. I'll cover a few. So for example, if you are interested in studying at NYU, and if you are submitting AP exam scores, students must provide AP exam scores from 3 subjects, and AP credit will be granted for students that receive a result of 4 or 5. If you're interested in studying at the University of Toronto, for example, AP is accepted in admission and credit is granted for scores of 4 or 5. If you are interested in studying at Oxford University, Oxford requires that international applicants applying with AP credentials submit 3 or more AP exams with scores of 5 in the appropriate subjects. So this just gives you a little bit of an idea of what those sample policies look like throughout universities in the US, Canada, and the UK. I've mentioned these are university level courses, which means that they are rigorous, right? You are taking these throughout high school. They are rigorous and they are demonstrating to colleges and universities that you were willing to take on that challenge and work hard to get those scores. So they are rigorous. It's effective, which means that they are sending a specific message to universities. For example, our research indicates that AP students develop the content, knowledge, skills, and habits of mind that have resulted in higher first and fourth year university grades, higher performance in intermediate level university courses, and then higher likelihood of majoring in the particular subject in which they participated in AP, especially STEM subjects. And this is what college and university admissions officers want to see. They want to feel confident when they are admitting you to their university, that you will be successful, and then you will complete your studies at the university. And this is a message that they're getting by you taking AP. Again, for schools that developed a robust program, it really gives students the opportunity to choose their path, to identify those courses that are their passion or which highlight their strengths to university. So it gives students the ability to choose their path and identify which courses they want to take. Before I jump to AP resources, I want to make sure that I mention that even if your school does not offer AP courses, if you are interested in taking the AP exam, there is always a way for you to identify what schools offer AP courses and exams, and hopefully you identify a school that is willing to open their doors to you to take the exam only. Many schools around the world do this, which means that they are willing to order the exam for you. You will prepare at your own pace, at your own time, so you would not take the course, but you can take the exam only. And again, taking the exam on its own and getting a strong score means that you are sending a message to colleges and universities that you are committed and you have studied hard to ensure that you get that strong score report. Now let's talk a little bit about a few AP score or AP resources. We have an AP credit policy search. This is really for US colleges and universities. So if you are interested in studying in the United States and you want to get an idea of the types of credit policies that different universities have for AP, you can always utilize this tool. I recommend clicking on the second option that says find your college. So say, for example, you're interested in studying at the University of Southern California, you will click Find Your College, you will select USC or University of Southern California, and it will bring up a table of all of the AP courses, the scores that they're looking for, and the type of credit that you may get if you get that specific score. So this is a very helpful tool, especially if you're considering studying in the United States. And then finally, through the Blue Book application, which I shared with you earlier that you can access if you have a College Board student account, you can log in and get a preview of all 28 digital AP exams. This is something that you can already do if you want to. So please feel free to download the Blue Book application, log into Blue Book, and you can go and see what those digital exam previews look like. All right, so we've reached the portion where I will be happy to take some questions. So Mariana, if you want to go ahead and ask away, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, yeah, we had a few. So let me start with the first one. This is about, I think, the SAT. It says, I didn't get the second part. The second part is adaptive part. Does it mean that the first part is automatically corrected? And if I did poorly, the second part will be easier. And if I did well, the second part will be harder.
Technically, yeah. Technically, yes, that's how it works. So the way that it works is there are two modules in each section. So the first module in the reading and writing section, and the second module in the reading and writing section, first module in math, second module in math. Depending on how you score or how you answer your questions in the first module, the questions in the second module will be essentially the same, a little bit harder or much harder, because the exam is adapting to your performance in the first section. So that is how the SAT functions. Then based on the questions that you're getting and how you're answering them, that's how you will fall in a specific score range on the SAT.
Okay, thank you. Then the second one is I would like to know how we can apply to be chosen as a test center, what the requirements are, and how we can administer the SAT or AP exams. Since here isn't a test center, it's a school from Chimaltenango, so I don't know if you can help us with
Yeah,
that.
if you can give them my email, Mariana, if they can reach out to me, I'm happy to walk them through the process for becoming an SAT test center. There are a few steps, so feel free to share my email with them, and then I can schedule a virtual meeting with them to talk about what that process looks like.
Okay, thank you. I'll be sure to share your contact.
Yep.
Is there a limit of institutions we can send the results to regarding the SAT?
No, you can send as many score reports as you want to the universities that you desire. There's no limit.
Okay. Then, so it will be better to get AP instead of SAT if we want to get into a university?
So I wouldn't say that it's better. They're two completely separate programs within College Board. What I would recommend is reviewing, if you already have specific universities in mind, reviewing what the requirements are. Many universities will require that you take a standardized test and provide those score reports. So in that case, the SAT would be the test that you would have to take. AP just helps boost, I would say, it helps you stand out because you are taking those college level courses in high school, preparing for the exam, and hopefully getting a score that shows the college or university that you really challenge yourself, you practiced, and you did really well on the exam. So I wouldn't say it's one or the other. Many students take both if they have that available to them, just because it helps them stand out even more. So I would never say it's choosing between one or the other. I would say do your research, find out what the college or university is looking for. Maybe identify, well, students that got admitted to that university, what has been their background? What has been the SAT score that they've gotten? How many AP exams have they taken? What have been their scores on specific AP exams? So I would say do your research and from there decide if you can do both, if you should just opt for the SAT, if you should take the SAT and maybe one or two APs. It really depends on your research and the university that you want to attend.
Okay, thank you. Then this one, it says, I would like to know how the super score of the SAT works and whether the tests can be taken on dates other than those established, or if they are on the same day.
Yeah, so super scoring policies really vary by university. That's not something College Board sets up or establishes as rules. That is by case basis in terms of each university has their own policies. Some universities will say if you take the SAT multiple times, we will take your best score from each of those attempts, and we will take your best score for consideration for admission. So I would say in that case, research what the university's policy is on SAT super scoring. In terms of when you can take the SAT, you can only take it on the dates that are identified on the College Board calendar for SAT administration. You unfortunately cannot take the SAT outside of those dates. But we have, at this point, I think it's 8 administrations throughout the year, so there should be plenty of options for you to choose from.
Okay, thank you. And then this one, it says, I think AP courses aren't available in Argentina, are they? If that's the case, what should I do?
They are available in a couple of schools in Argentina. I would recommend looking up the AP Course Ledger. So we have what's called an AP Course Ledger, which means that it is an official College Board list that shows schools that have been approved to offer AP courses. You can search by country. So if you go AP Course Ledger, LEDGER, you will search by country. So you can put Argentina. And then, actually, maybe I can show you really quickly. 1 second. And that way you have a better idea of what I'm talking about. Let me just share my screen. So this is the AP Course Ledger. I just Googled AP Course Ledger. It should be the first thing that pops up. Some of you said Argentina. I select the country, then I'll hit search. Currently, there's only one. So Asociación Escuelas Lincoln in Buenos Aires. You will click that school. And it'll tell you, you know, if the school has been authorized to teach the course, which courses, for example. Even if they are not teaching the courses, for example, you can always reach out to them to see if they'd be willing to offer the exam or administer the exam for you as an external student.
Okay, thank you. Then it says my school has Latin as a subject. Does it count or it's as important as the AP course? Like could it help me to stand out even though it's not an AP course?
I mean, I think it's beneficial either way. It really depends on the university again, what they're looking for. I think, you know, if you feel like you're challenging yourself as a student, then that's already a big thing for universities and what they're looking for. Um, but if you do come from like a smaller school in your country that may have not sent students abroad to specific colleges or universities, so the school may be quote unquote unknown for admissions officers. That's when things like the SAT or APs come into play because university admissions officers are familiar with the SAT and with the AP, and they're familiar with the level of rigor of these two, and they're familiar with the type of student that takes AP and the SAT and gets a specific score. So, you know, I definitely think that by you challenging yourself and taking those specific courses that your school offers, that's huge. And I'm sure that will help with your admissions. But taking into consideration, you know, the fact maybe that if you do come from a school that has not sent international students abroad before, utilizing programs like the SAT or AP will be helpful to help you stand out even more.
Thank you. This one it says, do universities understand that AP classes aren't available in every country? Or a person from a country where AP classes are not offered still in disadvantage? And this is like in a question matter. And then they ask what are other ways to prove college readiness if all classes weigh the same for every student?
Yeah, so universities are admissions officers are definitely aware that AP or the SAT are not readily available to all students. They definitely understand that. I think in that case, it really means working closely with your teachers, your principal, your guidance counselor, if you have a counselor that's helping you prepare for um, higher education outside the US to make a strong case to those admissions officers, maybe connect with them somehow virtually if even possible, so that they familiarize themselves with your school. They could even have a conversation with a counselor or a principal so that they understand the level of rigor that's offered at your school, what it means to take specific courses, maybe courses that you've taken. So there are other ways of ensuring that you stand out. It would just mean a little bit more effort on your part, on the part of your principal or your counselor, to make those connections with the university admissions representatives so that they understand your school a little bit more and understand that you have challenged yourself and taken rigorous coursework to prepare you for college admissions. I know there are also scholarship organizations throughout Latin America. I'll give one example. In Peru, there's Beca Cometa, which I'm familiar with. And many universities, or they build partnerships with universities throughout the United States and other countries as well, so that universities recognize the students that they are standout students, and that also helps with admission. So for some reason, you know, you don't have access to AP or SAT, but you can get access to one of these scholarships or become affiliated with like a scholarship or post-secondary preparation program. That would also be a way to prepare.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
It says here, would it be good to take AP exams if I'm taking a gap year and I studied by my own?
Would you, so you still have to be in high school to take AP exams. So if you are no longer in high school and it is, you know, and you're not going back to high school, which I'm assuming that's what you mean by a gap year, then you will be unable to take the AP exams. So just keeping that in mind is important. You can still take the SAT, but AP, that'll be hard.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all all the questions we had.
All right, sounds great. Well, I hope this information is helpful. Mariana, you have a copy of the deck that I used for the presentation. You can feel free to share that with all of the registrants of today's presentation. That way they can reference it if they need to. But yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I hope the information I shared was helpful. And if any questions arise, if they can reach out to you, Mariana, and you can always reach out to me and or connect us. And then, yeah, I'm very happy to help in whatever circumstance.
Yes, yes, thank you very much. I'll make sure to share the presentation, and also we have the recording. So thank you everyone for participating and for being here, and we'll see you soon. Thank you, Claudia, very much for
Thank
all the
you.
information.
All right. Have a great evening, everyone. Take care.
Bye.